10 years ago.
There are so many people they are unable to reach.
The rain started falling and the water kept rising.
Kept thinking for the best, but it didn't get better, it got worse.
Flooding and mudslides cut off entire communities.
That was a real wake-up call for the Front Range.
9 people died. Streams and creeks carved new paths through towns. It washed away homes, destroying more than 2,000.
It's very sad to see this damage and destruction and what we're dealing with here.
Thousands had to flee home. Some needed to be rescued.
We were given the, hey, go do what you have to do to save these people.
Today, we hear from the rescuers who saved lives. We'll walk through what's changed in Colorado, and we'll find the hope that came out of the heartbreak. 9 News at 4 starts now.
And now you're looking at a very different picture some 10 years later, a live look at the Little James as it runs. It's a beautiful September day here, 10 years after the floods that devastated this town. This is where we brought 4 o'clock at 9 News today and 9 News throughout the day. That is the town of Jamestown on the left and the Little James on a beautiful day running quietly down the stream.
A stunningly beautiful day. It is so relaxing just to sit here. We've seen so many people, cyclists that have been going up and down the road, and this is such a beautiful town. 250 people. When you drive in, you see the sign, and most of them will tell you they stayed because they chose to. But they will tell you 10 years was not near enough almost. They needed all 10 years to fully rebuild and get back to where they are now. It has been 10 years since they remember that night when the rain came and it just didn't stop, and it was for a few days after that they were all impacted. Today we're looking back at the scope of the devastation from here in Jamestown and all the way to the Eastern Plains for that matter. We're going to give you an insight into how people's lives have changed and kind of reflect on Colorado's resiliency as part of this recovery. Forecasters at the time called this storm biblical because the rain, as we said, started September 9th. The intensity just picked up in the following days. 1.5 feet of rain fell in some places in just a matter of days, and that triggered mudslides, which washed out roads and bridges and homes and livelihoods. Jamestown, Estes Park, Lyons, most of them were cut off from the rest of the world. It spread far out to the farms on the Eastern Plains. The flooding caused $4 billion in damage. The recovery itself did last nearly a decade. And now we're looking at a very different town here. This town rebounded, and many towns did as well. The favorite watering hole still serving customers just across the street. The Merc, closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, but everyone there will break up when they talk about Joey and what Joey meant to this town, as they say, the patriarch who they lost in that flood, in the mudslide.
There will be a remembrance event down the road in Lyons. There was one this past week focusing on the grit of Coloradans as well as the grace and the gratitude. And that includes so many stories of strength and resilience, rebuilding and the rescues and recovery. Today we're hearing from some members of the National Guard members who helped dig people out, got them to safety.
We had, at that point, had never done a real, hey, go find people, bring them here, move them out. Then they sent us up into the valleys, and that's when you could really see the devastation, the river.
We called the first couple days, it was sort of the wild, wild west.
So I've seen some emergency situations similar to this, but not the devastation of seeing, complete roads washed out.
Sheriff given us missions, we'd go and get the people, come back, and they would escort the folks off to whatever they had after that. We've trained a lot on what the response can be for multiple different scenarios.
There's a kennel, here's a dog that did like to fly. I remember counting animals, dogs, cats. I think we had some chickens and interesting animals people didn't want to part ways with.
So it's a lot, way more efficient on who do we call first, who do we call second, what do I need to do to bring in more resources.
I think the biggest, the most striking memory for me was just how efficient we were as a guard. It felt like I was flying back in Baghdad. Everybody's deconflicted. We just went right to the mission.
The amount of hoists we did in a day was more than I had ever done.
They have nobody else to turn to. And then all of a sudden, here comes a helicopter overhead, and you can kind of see them relax a little bit, knowing that, okay, we're going to get out of here today.
I'm just glad we had the resources and the availability to come and help. It's a beautiful place to be, so I'm just glad we were able to get there and help them out.
First responders, of course, along with rescuers, train for these types of disasters. And Boulder County says it did practice. What would happen if a canyon had to close or they lost access to part of the county? But former Boulder Sheriff Joe Pelley says they never could have imagined what would play out that night.
What occurred overnight through that night was one piece of bad news after another all night long. You know, the St. Vrain washed out, left hand washed out, the North St. Vrain washes out, Boulder Canyon washes out. Pretty soon there was no way to reach the western half of our county. Every single road was lost. We had people on the phone calling 911, loved ones having heart attacks, people in distress, people trapped and no way to get to them. And so, you know, for the first time in my career, it just got to feel like an impossible situation.
Pelley says the devastation obviously took a toll on everyone, from those who actually lost their homes to those who had to help as well. But he said he saw it in the floods as well as the Marshall Fire and the King Super shooting, the neighbors stepping up to help each other.
And this is another view from above of Jamestown on this beautiful afternoon. We're going to talk more about what happened to this town 10 years ago. But when you look at it, when you drive up here, you realize it's this beautiful scenic drive, but it's just that little weaving road in and out of here.
Well, you certainly see why people didn't leave, and you can see why those who did came back.
Yeah.
It's a marvelous place.
That's what they'll tell you. They said once they got to town, 2 weeks in, one gentleman I talked to said 2 weeks in, and I knew I wasn't leaving. So
Kathy, we wish
Kathy,
you were up
they
here.
love it up here. It's pretty.
What a wonderful day up here, Kath.
It is beautiful, and all of those canyons and just all of that landscape that has changed, but all of that water, you guys, coming that night in the middle of the night and trying to warn people that night of the water and the mud and what was upstream coming down when people were asleep. Many of us are never going to forget that night ever again, and that town will never be the same. And that's why, as meteorologists in this community, we take our jobs very seriously. And when we talk to kids, we always tell them, yeah, it's true. Weather in Colorado any time of the year can kill you and hurt you. You got to pay attention and really just kind of know what's going on around you, because you can have a beautiful day like this, and in 24 hours we can have snow flying, we can have heavy flooding rainfall, we can have thunder, lightning, and hail. Not today. Those are fair weather cumulus clouds dotting the horizon in Denver and Fort Collins this afternoon. Great day for a drive on I-70. Temperatures today are in the 70s, which is typically what we expect in September. Beautiful weather, but we have another round of cool, wet weather coming in about 36 hours. So humidity values are high for us right now, but about to go a whole lot higher. We have winds out of the south that'll be transporting moisture in from a storm system that we are tracking over the Four Corners area, already bringing showers to southwestern Colorado. Eventually that moisture will make its way to Denver, and that's going to happen in about 24 hours time. Nothing severe. Slow moving storms dropping a bit of rain around Durango, Creed, and Pagosa Springs. For Denver tonight, no issues. Tomorrow, no issues. Things start to change for us, as I mentioned, in about 24 hours. 70s this evening. Enjoy your evening out. Coming up in Maine weather, we have a mild, quiet summer evening ahead of a return to cool, wet weather by the end of the week. But what about your weekend? A lot of people have plans for the weekend, so we're going to detail all of it with the extended forecast coming up.
All right, Kathy, thanks. We'll see you in just a bit. We turn now to some of the news from other parts of the world, including another disaster on the other side of the globe. More than 5,000 people are presumed dead, 10,000 still missing after heavy rains caused two dams in northeastern Libya to burst. That caused devastating flooding in an already soaked area. The city of Derna has been hit the hardest. As many as 6,000 people there remain missing. Authorities believe whole neighborhoods there may have been washed away, with hospitals there no longer to operate at all. Of course, this follows Friday night's earthquake in Morocco. That killed at least 2,900 people, hurting another 5,500 as well. One woman in Aurora lost a number of family members, and 9 News reporter Jaleesa Irizarry had a chance to speak with her.
It's, yeah, I've been on my phone a lot.
A phone in hand is oftentimes blamed for a life lived in distraction.
That's my auntie's house. That room is gone.
But for Hanan Giwan,
it is distraction.
It's her cell that puts what's important in focus, while the rest of the world is on hold.
I didn't give a chance to cry. I was like up on my phone trying to figure out what to do.
What to do when the heartache feels so complete.
It's sad. Very sad.
On Friday night, a magnitude 6.8 earthquake struck Morocco just southwest of Marrakesh.
Since Friday, this is all what's happening at my house.
It's left Hanan and her friends' eyes on the television and their hands glued to their phones.
Yeah, this is even the room where we used to sleep.
The earthquake destroyed small villages along the mountains, including the area where Hanan's mother grew up in, a village she visited in June.
This is like where they pulled two of my cousin, the women, the pregnant woman and her child. She was dead.
If only the heartache stopped there. If only.
13 members of our families passed away. And again today I heard that there is one missing. My family is in the street right now. And those are the family that for 21 years being here, they never asked me for anything.
Hanan and others in the Colorado Moroccan community are raising funds to help the small villages that are now left with nothing.
This is my uncle's house.
Places that for now, Hanan can only find on her phone.
It's part of me that's gone.
Hanan says their fundraising efforts are focused on tents and temporary housing. Their friends and family say people of Morocco have helped with food and clothing. The biggest concern is having some shelter as they expect some rain in the coming days. Tom?
We're all looking for mercy for those people as well. Thanks, Jaleesa.
Former First Lady B. Miller Romer died on Sunday. She died at the age of 93. That is according to a statement from her family. B. Romer, of course, well known in Colorado. She was married to former Governor Roy Romer for 70 years. And he was by her side and she was by his side in his years in office from 1987 to 1999. She was an education expert and the driving force behind Colorado's statewide preschool program. Her family said she was surrounded by her loved ones, including her husband, when she passed away.
Republican Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy announced today that he is directing an impeachment inquiry into President Biden. This is based on allegations of things that happened during Biden's time as vice president. They say that Biden helped his son Hunter make money off his name. McCarthy now directing the House Oversight Committee to open that inquiry. But there's been doubt within even the Republican Party whether there is any evidence to support the impeachment. A White House spokesperson says witnesses and documents have shown no wrongdoing by the president.